Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, dear participants and members of Saudi Society for Medical Education. I'm Dr. Shazia Iqbal. I'm chairperson for Continued Professional Development Activities at Saudi Society for Medical Education, Riyadh office. And very warm welcome to this webinar series. And you know that in Saudi Society, we are trying to touch different aspects in medical education, and technology enhanced learning has been our always priority because these days a lot of tech is there in medical education. And what we are going to talk today is about virtual reality, which is a very interesting topic. And many of young medical educators, they are very much enthusiastic to learn more about the role of virtual reality in medical education. And we are very much excited and pleased to announce for today's eminent speaker, Prof. Maki Sugimoto. Prof. Maki Sugimoto, very warm welcome to Saudi Society for Medical Education. A brief introduction of Prof. Maki is that he is professor of surgery at Tokyo University and Research Institute Innovation Lab. He is co-founder of Hollow Eyes. He graduated from Tokyo University School of Medicine, Department of Surgery in 1996. He established his current career through National Hospital Organization, Tokyo Medical Center, and United States, California Department of Veterans Affairs, Palo Alto Healthcare Center, visiting Falo. He has been energetically performing in surgery, medical diagnostic imaging, research in medical and engineering field, biological texture organ modeling with 3D printer and medical equipments. He is board certified surgeon of Japan Surgical Society and board certified endoscopic surgeon at Japan. He is very much expert in virtual reality, especially in Hollow Eyes. And this is a great opportunity to meet him today and to ask our questions, queries, and to share his experience with us. And he is very well-renowned TED Talk speaker as well. So very warm welcome, Dr. Sugimoto, and very warm to all participants. Questions will be taken by end of this session. So yeah, we will record this session, and recording of this session will be shared with all participants by end of the session. So thanks for joining us. Over to you, Prof. Maki.
So thank you very much for a kind introduction. This is my great honor and privilege to share our knowledge and experiences about virtual reality in medical education. And Dr. Shadia, this is my great honor, and thank you very much. So let's start my topic.
Welcome.
Today, I would like to show you two presentations. One is about the extended reality itself in the medical situation or the educational application. And the second is the clinical usage, mainly for endoscopic and robotic surgery, because I'm a specialist of the endoscopic and robotic hepatobiliary pancreatic surgery. So the second one is the very topic in recent years in Japan. So I would like to show you two presentations.
In this lecture, I would like to talk about recent advances of extended reality XR, virtual reality VR, augmented reality AR, and mixed reality MR for special surgical navigation and online telemedicine. Surgery requires a high degree of spatial awareness and orientation because of complex anatomies and surgical procedures. Surgical navigation have become essential tools that enable for surgeons to perform complex operations accurately and safely. The majority of medical imaging today is presented in two dimensions. As amazing as CT and MRI scans are, their display in 2D requires physicians to use their imaginations to mentally stitch together paper-thin images and picture how they fit together in a 3D human being. Current single modality imaging for preoperative surgical planning and intraoperative surgical guidance using CT and MRI has certain limitations in clearly identifying the actual anatomy which is crucial for surgeons to make correct intra-procedure decisions. The traditional surgical navigation was displayed only for two-dimensional observation by surgeons. The image-based navigation interface is separated from the operating area, and the surgeon needs to switch the field of vision between the screen and the patient lesion area. We developed extended reality XR navigation that combines virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality, and holographic technology for surgery to provide more spatial and intuitive information to surgeons. The representative forms such as VR, AR, MR are referring to all real and virtual combined environments and human-machine interactions generated by computer technology and wearables. Extended reality is the umbrella term that covers immersive technology. Virtual reality is immersing yourself in a completely artificial world. Augmented reality is overlaying a digital layer of contextual information into the built environment. Mixed reality is an interactive mix of VR and AR. How VR is revolutionizing medical imaging. Virtual reality and 3D imaging technologies are helping physicians better prepare for surgeries, explain diagnosis to patients, and train for their profession. We developed XR applications and web services which extract bones, muscles, organs, and abnormal lesions automatically from the CT images of the individual patient into 3D polygon models and represent them into virtual or real space using wearable headsets. XR headsets are now able to create fully realized immersive environments that can be explored and have a wide range of applications. Immersion into VR is a perception of being physically present in a non-physical world into immersive side-by-side VR view. The head-mount display uses an OLED panel for each eye. It uses two lenses that allow for a wide view. The head-mount display has full 6 degrees of freedom, rotational and positional tracking. This tracking is precise, low latency, and sub-millimeter accurate. Optical infrared position tracking, stunning graphics, a 110-degree field of view, interactive controls, and HD haptic feedback provides an unparalleled sense of immersion. This is how to integrate the spatial imaging system by interactive superimposing 3D holograms by tracking the user's eye, head, and hand-arm position. One of the most accurate ways to register the 3D AR devices to external coordinate system is to use image targets and computer vision algorithms to determine the position of the target relative to the headset. This approach can collect for drift in the headset spatial mapping and can also be used to perform accurate registrations with external tracking systems. HoloLens 2 is a standalone holographic computer comprising a visor-based see-through display with components integrated into the headband. This has a special 3D cameras of 4 visible light sensors for head tracking, a time-of-flight depth sensor, 8-megapixel RGB video camera, and 2 infrared cameras for eye tracking. Using XR application for surgical navigation and simulation, the surgeon's spatial recognition of the surgical anatomy, procedure planning, dissection area, vessel processing, dissection merging, and suturing was improved before and after the surgery. Multiple doctors wearing VR head-mount displays were able to display themselves as avatars in the VR space, while simultaneously viewing the patient organs, lesions, and blood vessels, and discussing the procedures and the laws of the actual surgical techniques while moving freely around the 3D space. This became a real-time interactive online conference, and it became a training that allows them to pass on interactive experiences as they are. When we use VR, the ability to spatial awareness for understanding the extent of dissection, blood vessel processing, lymph node dissection, and sutures were improved before and after surgery. The motion of the surgeon's head and hands while viewing the VR was recorded in time series, in the VR space using the motion capture sensor. Later, when another surgeon experienced this VR simulation, it was useful for training because it was possible to retrace the eye gaze and the technique using forceps, at the same time tracing in time series. In AR/MR, before and during surgery, each organ was floated in the real space with a transparent holographic wearable glasses with a position sensor, HoloLens, and Magic Leap. He was able to move freely in all directions, and the three-dimensional organ hologram and procedure could be confirmed with pointing. We also created lifelike 3D avatars of the surgeons, acting as if next to each other. We created each surgeon's avatar when we uploaded our photo. In seconds, it rendered into a realistic-looking 3D copy of our face, attached to a 3D torso. Creating our 3D realistic avatars from every single selfie in seconds, our virtual avatars came to life and sitting next to each other as we talk, move, and interact in virtual reality from across the world. A metaverse is an online world where people can communicate in a virtual environment using avatar, often with VR headsets. A metaverse is a network of 3D virtual worlds focused on social communication. The term metaverse has its origins in the 1992 science fiction novel Snow Crash as a portmanteau of meta and the universe. The avatar-based immersive metaverse platform enables remote working, collaboration, meetings, distant learning, and networking for surgical planning, conference, and education. By sharing virtual avatars, the surgeons could join our virtual conference from any devices, including VR head-mount display and mixed reality glasses to meet face-to-face with 3D. When using our webcams of the smartphone or laptop, we came to be present and could share their desktop screens without VR headsets. However, the following issues still needs to be addressed: accuracy, occlusion of markers, visibility, adaptiveness, and tissue deformation. XR could help complex surgical procedures including dissection, suturing, and hemostats. The total operation time and discussion time were decreased. This has illustrative benefits in surgical planning, simulation, and education. The special surgical image-guided simulation provided better anatomical reference tool as a tailor-made guidance in surgeries and contributes to medical safety and accuracy, less invasiveness, and improvement of the medical education. This was also useful for recording surgical procedures in VR and for handing down surgical skills to next generation.
Okay, next topics is clinical usage in laparoscopic and robotic surgery, mainly for hepatobiliary pancreatic surgery. The metaverse and the extended reality holography guided navigation in endoscopic and robotic HPV surgery. The metaverse is an integrated network to 3D virtual worlds. These worlds are assessed through a virtual reality headset, which immerses the users, stimulating what is present, creating by generating the physical sensation of actually being there. The word metaverse is made up of prefix meta, meaning the virtual, and the universe, meaning the real world. It is more advanced concept than the existing virtual reality. The core technology of the metaverse is the extended reality, XR, which encompasses VR, AR, and MR. The metaverse spans the physical and the virtual worlds, and users are able to take their avatars and goods from one place to another, no matter who runs that particular part of it. This is the purpose of our study. To enhance the spatial recognition in laparoscopic and robotic surgery, we developed a holography-guided telenavigation through the metaverse. And actually, we are usually using the CAT scan before the surgery, but in this case,
This case had a biliary cancer. During the actual surgery, we scanned the biliary reconstruction during the actual surgery using the hybrid operative room in Japan under 5 minutes. The methods. We provided extended reality holography guided endoscopic HPV surgeries through a metaverse platform for 30 actual surgeries. Over 30 Asian surgeons are included in our virtual environment. We evaluated the feasibility, usefulness, and effectiveness in all the surgeries, including a robotic surgery. All the equipment they needed was on the head-mount display. We applied holography like 3D guide to organs, lesions, and procedures based on the CAT scan and MRI images of individual patients to create a holographic view in the real space above the surgical field to allow viewing in all directions. And we also created lifelike 3D avatars like this, acting as if next to each other in metaverse. When we uploaded our face photo only, in seconds, it rendered into a realistic looking 3D copy of our face attached to a 3D torso. From individual CAT scan images of the patient, HPV organs and lesions are extracted into colored 3D polygons. We represented into VR space and real space using our original web-based XR application. We have developed a commercially available cloud service that accomplished XR in only 5 minutes through the web. The service name is HoloEyes. You can download these applications from the web, and it was already cleared as a medical device in Japan. So wireframe rendering is a representation method in which only the edges of a 3D shape are represented as a set of wires, and only the edges of organs and lesions were rendered as if they were constructed with wires like that. By optimizing the thickness of the wire and the number of meshes, we were able to optimize the transparency and the depth reconstruction of the organs. In all surgeries, 100%, we could accurately reproduce the liver, pancreas, biliary duct, artery, vein, peripheral organs, and tumorous lesions from the CAT scan as holography and display the resection lines to guide surgical procedures in the sterile space above the patient abdomen during the actual surgeries. These systems were set up on the 5 minutes. No post-operative adverse events. Compared with conventional navigation systems, this system is far easier and cheaper to introduce. Holography-assisted lap surgery, it was better to represent the virtual 3D models in the space beside the endoscopic display than superimposing them on the actual surgical field for endoscopic and robotic surgery. In addition, the user can move around the VR space. It improves the selection of the resection area, avoidance of the anatomical misidentification, unnecessary bleeding, and miscommunication in laparoscopic and robotic surgery. It gives a better understanding for a young surgeon or the student. Our program was already commercially available in the medical device in Japan, allowing all clinical cases to be XR applications through the web from all over the country for efficient telemedicine anytime. And this is actually the telemedicine in Japan from Tokyo and all over the world. Discussions. XR could help complex surgical procedures, including dissection, suturing, and hemostat. The total operative time and discussion time were decreased. This has illustrated benefits in surgical planning, simulation, training, and education. The spatial surgical image-guided simulation provided better anatomical reference tool as a tailor-made surgical guidance in HPV surgeries and contributes to medical safety and accuracy, less invasiveness, and improvement of medical education. Recording their movement of the surgical procedure in VR space were useful for reliable training, and handing down surgical skills to the next generation. Conclusions. Our cross-platform XR collaboration app enabled holographic telepresence through XR in the metaverse, turning any operative rooms into a 3D workspace. With our system, users connect remotely and express ideas seamlessly using lifelike avatars, unlocking a new level of computing that is not confirmed by space and time, no matter what devices they are using. Thank you for attention.
So now you can download our application named HoloEyes from iPhone or Android App Store. And you can search Google with the keywords HoloEyes, and you can get more information. So this is the last video by the Abdul Latif Jamil Health, recorded in Dubai last year. So this is my interview in Dubai. I'm Dr. Maki Sugimoto, co-founder of HoloEyes Inc., Tokyo, Japan. The metaverse allows us to do things that cannot be done easily, such as distance, time, and space. Surgical practice is very difficult to learn without the patient or actual medical field. So metaverse can replace the actual medical field training for a young student or the young surgeons. In order to make you understand the advantage of the VR technology, you need to put on the VR goggles and actually experience the metaverse itself. We have two kinds of headsets, the VR goggles or the mixed reality headsets. This mixed reality headset is the transparent display for right and the left eye. We can see the patient anatomy in the air by using two different lenses. It allows us to display the actual patient organ in the air, even moving the users. And this is for actual surgical procedure because we can wear it and grasp it by using the sterile gloves during the actual operation. This goggle is for a virtual reality environment. Using two different controllers, you can manipulate the organ and positions of the patient itself in a VR space. By using this goggle, user can see the virtual reality space using two different lenses, and there's a smartphone in it. And the immersive experience is very useful to understand the patient anatomy and the other surgeons' movement using the metaverse. By using CAT scan or MRI, we can reconstruct 3D image of the flat plane by plane data to a 3D using the polygon technology. Polygon technology means that we calculate the location of each point of the organ shape, and we can translate this point of the shape to the 3-digit number 1, 2, 3, X, Y, Z. We can reconstruct these X, Y, Z data to polygons in the air using the virtual reality. Using our HoloEyes website, every surgeon or physician can upload this polygon data of the patient, individual patient, to a 3-dimensional world using our HoloEyes website. After uploading these data, after 5 minutes, they can download the VR application into their own headsets. In Japan, more than 100 or 200 institutions are already downloaded our application itself, and for medical purposes. And then not only the medical purposes, but also a nursing college, nursing student, or the dentist. More than 50 or 60 institutions are already integrated our system. In oncology, surgeon can reconstruct the solid organ and the cancer tumor lesions. We couldn't see the cancer tumor from the outside of the solid organ, but using the virtual reality, we can see through the solid organ and detecting the lesion of the cancers.
So we can reconstruct this data for simulation how to cut and where the surgical margin for a patient. Internationally, now we are applying to integrate our system to Singapore or Taiwan or China and so on, and mainly for Asian countries. But now we wanted to extend our field to Middle East or US or Europe. We wanted to introduce our new technology for Middle East. So ALJ have a huge market and a relationship between each countries in Middle East. And we wanted to introduce our system to Middle East and all over the world. So ALJ have a method and the technology and knowledge for developing the market all over the world. After 5 years or 10 years, I think everybody can access the metaverse using these goggles because the price we're getting down and then everybody can buy like a, and these be a headset like a smartphone. They can integrate the knowledge for medicine or medical treatment by the ordinary people, not the surgeon or physicians. So we can gather the knowledge itself in the metaverse world so that everybody can access the metaverse to learn.
كانت رؤية ما بداخل الجسد تمثل حلماً للأطباء منذ بداية الطب نفسه. كان هذا ممكناً إلى حد ما مع اختراع السماعة الطبية عام 1816. لكن اليوم من خلال التقدم التكنولوجي الكبير أصبح التصوير بالأجهزة المتطورة أساسياً في علاج الأمراض المعدية وغير المعدية على حد سواء، وفي العمليات الجراحية كذلك. ومع ذلك وحتى اليوم ما زال فهم البنية المعقدة لجسم الإنسان من خلال التصوير ثنائي الأبعاد المتاح على نطاق واسع مثل الأشعة السينية والتصوير بالرنين المغناطيسي والأشعة المقطعية يمثل مهمة صعبة لكون تفسيرها يتطلب قدراً من التدريب والخبرة. وبدمج الدراية الجراحية والتطورات الحديثة في مجال الواقع الافتراضي والذكاء الاصطناعي نجحت منصة هولو آيز للواقع الممتد في تذليل هذه المشكلة. تعمل هذه المنصة على التقاط هذه الصور القياسية ثنائية الأبعاد من خلال الذكاء الاصطناعي وتحويلها إلى صور ثلاثية الأبعاد غامرة لجسم المريض، ما يساعد في إنشاء مساحة افتراضية سهلة الاستكشاف في أقل من 15 دقيقة، وتمكين بحث تفاصيل العمليات الجراحية قبل إجرائها وإجراء محاكاة لها والوصول إلى الدعم أثناء الجراحة. كما يمكن للأطباء الاستعداد للعمليات الجراحية من خلال التزود برؤية وفهم معززين لطبيعة الهياكل التشريحية لموضع الجراحة المستهدفة. تجمع تقنية منصة هولو آيز المبتكرة للواقع الممتد بين الواقع الافتراضي التقليدي والواقع المعزز وتطبيقات الواقع المختلط لتزويد الأطباء بتجربة غامرة قوية عبر واجهة متعددة الأشخاص للتخطيط لإجراءات ما قبل وبعد الجراحة وتقديم الاستشارات وتوفير التدريب الجراحي وعقد المؤتمرات العالمية. تتضمن مجموعة البرامج الشاملة تطبيق هولو آيز MD أساس منصة الواقع الممتد التي يتم فيها إنشاء نماذج الواقع الافتراضي بواسطة الذكاء الاصطناعي وتمكين ميزة التسجيلات والتقطيع والطبقات والتعليقات التوضيحية والواقع المعزز أو تجربة تطبيقات الواقع المختلط. تطبيق هولو آيز VS حل آمن ومتعدد لعقد المؤتمرات بين الأطباء عن بعد، ويمكن استخدامه في تعزيز التعاون الاستشاري عبر مواقع متعددة على المستويين الوطني والدولي. وتطبيق هولو آيز التعليمي هولو آيز إيديو، وهو يضم مجموعة متكاملة من الموارد لطلاب الطب والتمريض والممارسين والأطباء والمقيمين الطبيين لتعزيز خبراتهم التعليمية والتدريبية. يمكن استخدام المحتوى الطبي التعليمي ببساطة على الأجهزة الذكية في أي وقت وفي أي مكان. اطلب منا عرضاً توضيحياً.
So thanks for watching. Thanks for attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. Mekki, for this wonderful presentation. It was really mesmerizing. I would say that technology is highly advanced now, and especially I'm sure in our audience who are working as a surgeon, especially in endoscopic surgery, they must have enjoyed this, and it's really mind-blowing kind of technology, I would say. So in our participants, if you have any question, please feel free to unmute and you can involve in discussion or you can ask any kind of question queries with Prof. Mekki, and you can raise your hand or just unmute and you can ask your question. Well, meanwhile, we are waiting for questions. Prof. Mekki, what I understood is that, as you told that when you are operating on a patient using robotics, so can this technology be used just on simple laparoscopic procedures, or it should be robotic surgery only due to interaction of all of these technology tools?
Yeah, I think both robotic and laparoscopic surgery is very useful to use this kind of virtual reality technology, because nowadays in Japan, we are usually using the 3D endoscope for the special perception for the anatomy. So
Okay.
it is very useful to use the VR headset for endoscopic view to understand the spatial awareness. And the Da Vinci system has already have a 3D endoscope, right? So we can watch the anatomical structures in the VR. So the VR navigation is very useful and fit the immersion of 3D understanding for anatomical reconstruction.
All right, that's so interesting. Another question is that, as you told that you you use the term overlay. Overlay mean that you can navigate a patient CT scan or MRI structure on the patient body, and you can approach or your hand movements according to that navigation process. This is what I understood. So when you upload this data on the device, how you maintain privacy, or there are a lot of ethical aspects because we are sharing data between different devices or among different surgeons, maybe sitting in USA and you are performing in Japan. So there is a lot of sharing of data. So how you maintain that privacy and these ethical aspects?
Yes, the patient personal information is very important topics. So our system, every physician can upload only the polygon file. Polygon file means the only 4-digit number, X, Y, Z, and direction, the vectors. So there's no patient personal information. So they can upload only the polygon file data. So we can share without the patient information.
All right. And another surgeon who is operating or assisting you from far away, he can help you in a surgery.
Right.
That's amazing.
But they are watching only the polygons, the shape of the anatomy itself.
Okay. Okay. So we have one question in chat box, Dr. Ali. He has said, what are the main challenges of learning through virtual reality techniques? So if somebody want to learn, which kind of challenges he will face?
First, you need to have a headset, and you need to have some experience using these via virtual reality environment. And it is very easy to have the experience of the virtual reality in the gaming technology, right? So there are many kinds of the gaming application in the website. So you can download this application, and we are now challenging. We are now trying to challenge the organ deformity and the legislation with a soft tissue. It's very hard to calculate the shape, a real-time changing of the shape of the organs. So we need to calculate using the infrared sensors or the magnetic light sensors during the actual surgery. This is very challenging.
All right. So I would say that in Japan, how frequently it's being used for training of undergrad medical students, because I can see that mostly our participants, they are involved in teaching to undergrads as well. So if we want to train our undergrad medical students who have potential to be a surgeon in future, how can we take initiative, and what is your experience in Japan?
Yes, we have two purposes. One is for understanding the basic anatomy for a medical student before the graduation. And the second purpose is the simulation and practice for medical treatment or diagnostic techniques for postgraduate doctors. So mainly we are using this system for the physician and the surgeons for learning the surgical procedure or technical issue. So the basic anatomical learning is very simple, and they can use the computer graphics animation. It's without this data doesn't have the disease itself, like cancers or structures of something of diseases. So we can use the patient data, patient individual data without the patient in personal information, because there such as cancers, liver, kidney, pancreas, and so on. So it contains the cancer or disease lesions. That's the point. So everybody wants to learn the clinical data, not the basic animation, right? So that's the point.
That's so interesting. So Dr. Ali has asked that in virtual reality, please clarify to us that what is meant by the user-centered design. So
just a moment. Okay. Using the CT or MRI data, we can recreate every kind of diseases and every kind of personal differences from the patient individual data. So the postgraduate education is very informative for our patient individual data, and even using the different mankind like Asian or European or American and so on. So in Japan, we have many kinds of patient data because we have the all nations have under medical national insurance. So we have the big data of the CAT scan and MRI, and we can recreate not only the disease data but also the healthy people data together with a new patient case, such as patient A is liver and patient B is cancer. We have the patient C. We can create a new disease. So this is very informative tool to have some kind of examination for the young student.
Very interesting. One of the question is by Dr. Ali Al-Rahili that do candidates use virtual reality? They perform better in terms of learning, especially in postgrad education. So is there any kind of publication or outcome you have seen that if we train postgrads with use of virtual reality, their performance is better than the other group?
Yeah. And we already published more than 30 English papers in the scientific journals. So you can search the keyword HoloEyes or hologram in PubMed or some database. So we have some data about the evidence. So not only the young surgeon, but also the veteran surgeon, the elderly surgeon can have a good better anatomical understanding using the virtual reality, because we have the CAT scan or MRI on the 2D display. We only can watch itself, not moving. So using VR headset, you can move around the anatomy itself. Then you can learn not only the watching sense, but the moving sense, like spatial understanding or spatial recognition. So it is better to understand the shape of the organ itself and the extension of the cancer or disease itself.
So interesting.
Yeah.
I think your comment is addressing the question of Dr. Usama, because he's asking that, what do you think about touching sense? When you touch the tissue, do you have a feeling that this is soft or this is hard? Or what is its future like? If you can catch up this question, especially
Yeah,
when
yeah,
we
yeah.
are training post-grad. So touching sensors, are they helpful?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there are several the globes with the touching sensors in the for our virtual reality headset in all over the world, but it's not so much sensitive because the touching sense is not so strict to understand the organs softness or hardness, because we usually use the plastic globe, sterile globe for surgery. So it's a little bit hard. So we can delete the strict sense of the touching for in the actual surgeries. So actually, the Da Vinci robotic arm has no tactile feedback and tactile sense, but we can do the precise surgery using the Da Vinci. So the watching sense, the seeing sense can replace that touching experience in the brain. So we can merge these any senses in the brain. We can mixture the understanding of the anatomical structures or hardness and softness of the tissues. So now we are now developing the new hardware and the software for understanding the touching sense using two different eyes, like a spatial awareness. So I think we can replace the touching sense to a watching sense using the 3D perception.
Amazing. Dr. Ali, how can we apply student assessment in virtual reality? Yes, being medical educators, we shall be very much interested to know that
Okay.
if we are teaching, is there any way that you can assess as well, maybe in terms of timing of the surgery or speed of the surgery or different kind of assessments?
Yeah. We usually use, the NASA TLX score by NASA, and you can search NASA TLX score, task load index, TLX. So we usually use that evaluation system on a web, on an app, on a smartphone. Then you can download TLX NASA application to your smartphone. So the student can evaluate the system, usage of the system using the apps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So we can select some kind of the tasks or the usefulness of our task using the virtual reality. So the student can evaluate this system using only touching the app on a smartphone. And sometimes we are trying to use the sensing of the movement of their hands and head of the students. So we can calculate them because the headset and controllers have the locational positional sensors built in the controllers on the headset. We can calculate them and we can check each student movement, wider or smaller, and narrow and wide. So, and after this is a sample, 5 times training for the same student, how he or she will learn better to some basic task like ligation or some cutting some organs and so on. We can calculate the space of the movement of the hands or head. So good doctors can do some performance with a narrow segment, not a wide movement. So we can evaluate these systems.
So interesting. Any other questions from participants? So, Prof. Meki, I would like to know that, these days many devices, they have artificial intelligence aspect as well. So when you are using Hollow Eyes or operating on a patient using it, is there any kind of artificial intelligence support as well that they guide you or give you some kind of instructions, move right or move left during cutting, or is this just without AI?
Yeah. And now we are using AI only in the segmentation.
Okay.
Patient CAT scan, we should take it off the shape of the organs itself, like kidney shape, pancreas shape, liver shape, or cancer shape. So using AI, we can detect the location of the cancers or the shape of the organs, each organs for individual patient. We are using AI. And in the near future, we wanted to use AI to select the correct surgical procedure for each patient, because we can record the movement of the hands and the head of the surgeons when they have the simulation on a virtual reality situation like a metaverse. So when you perform some simulation in the virtual reality environment with the patient individual data, so after recording many kinds of patient the surgical procedure using the VR metaverse, so we can select the correct surgical procedure for each patient. So after generating this data in AI, machine learning, when we have the new patient data, the AI can select the correct surgical margin or correct surgical procedures for each patient. So this is very challenging in the near future. So we want to integrate AI to some kind of, the weather report for surgery.
Yeah. So it is so much fascinating and futuristic. I would say that it's the future, and young
Right.
medical educators and young physicians, they will be more interested to know more about it. So my last question, I would say, probably, because if there are no more questions, if how you would recommend us in Saudi Arabia, if somebody want to get training, that yes, they want to learn more about it and get training about how to perform surgery on robotics through Hollow Eyes. Is there any kind of facilities or training sessions you can guide us that they can approach?
Yeah. Now, we didn't have some training course in Saudi Arabia or UAE or Middle East. And now we are planning to have some training course or some lectures course in the Middle East in this year, maybe on March or this summer. We would like to have some training course or lectures course in UAE or Saudi Arabia. So if you could, you can invite me as a lecturer in your Vision College or something.
Okay, sure. That will be
Yeah,
really great.
appreciate it.
Otherwise, yeah, sure. But these courses, they will be open for public, that anyone they want to join, they can join in Middle East to learn more about it. Yeah,
Good.
that's interesting. So is there any question from participants? Otherwise, I would say, Prof. Meki, good night, because it's really good morning at your end. And I really appreciate Prof. Meki time, because it's 2 a.m. by his end at Japan. And we apologize because there was no other alternate. Our Sesame webinars are usually at 8 p.m. So I would say thank you so much, Prof. Meki, then for joining us, and recording of this session I will definitely share with all of you and with Prof. Meki as well.
Thank you very
Good
much.
night.
It's my great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Have a good night. So see you soon.
Yeah, good night. See you.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you for watching.